Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make some really quick GP if you have Herbalism. Right now, this zone is highly contested, but even with the sheer volume of people running around here, you can still make tons of gold really quickly. So when you take the portal to Oldham from Orgrimmar, you'll be here. You'll be right here in Ramakan. All I'm going to do for the next 15 minutes is fly around the river and pick up Whiptail, and we're going to calculate how much GP we make just off those 15 minutes. We'll multiply that gold by 4 to make up for an hour, give us a rough estimate on our gold per hour. Obviously, there's some big things that are going to influx you, like what time are you playing, right? Because certain hours, there's less people, you'll get more nodes. Do you have 280 flying? Do you have 310 flying? Are you a druid, or are you a paladin or death knight? Or are you a warrior and have no movement speed modifier for your mount? Those are all factors in this. I am on a druid, which is arguably the most efficient way to do herbalism. But even without being like on a druid, paladin, or a death knight, you can make tons of GP here. So we're going to start the stopwatch, and at 15 minutes we'll stop and see how many herbs I collected. Oh yeah, also real quick, this HUD that you see, this HUD overlay is Farm HUD. I'll leave a link to a download for it in the description. This basically just moves my mini-map here and makes it easier for me to see nodes that pop up. And like I said, you can see that this location is very, very highly contested, but that's alright. We're still going to make tons of gold every hour doing just this. Okay, so as we wrap this trip up, I wanted to throw some extra advice out there for you guys that are thinking about doing herbalism as one of your professions. The first piece of advice I already kind of touched on at the beginning of the video. Try to be a druid, try to be a death knight, or try to be a paladin. Death knights and paladins can spec into bonus movement. Well, death knights can spec into bonus movement speed on mounts, and paladins have crusader aura, which just gives them bonus mount speed. Very good for, you know, these tedious laps looking for herbs. But druids, on the other hand, can instantly mount up. More importantly, they never have to dismount when they're grabbing herbs. So that's a very good perk of being those classes. The second piece of advice I would give you is to not get discouraged, because I'm sure, as you've seen, if you watch the little sped up clip of me doing these laps, there are dry streaks. But when you see the results here at the end, it's still worth it, even if you hit a long dry streak like I have several times throughout this 15-minute lap. My third piece of advice is if you see somebody flying toward you, like if you're flying up the river and they're flying down the river, don't switch directions, because a lot of times people can miss herbs because they're not paying attention to their mini-map, and they'll miss an herb so you can fly by them and get it. But also, the herbs respawn really quickly. So even though somebody just flew the direction you're going and you're thinking, oh, they got all the herbs, not necessarily, because a lot might respawn. Which leads me into my next piece of advice, which would be to always check like the bottom of your mini-map. Don't just stare at the top, because herbs will spawn behind you and you can swoop back and grab them real quick. You can see that in 15 minutes, we ended up with 64 whiptail. So we're going to Hearthstone. We're going to look them up on the auction house, see what they're going for on my realm. That's another variance for how much GP an hour you can make, is these might have a different price on different realms. And then also, I'm going to leave the volatile life out because, I don't know, it's just not much GP. And I'm also going to leave the 2 volatile air out that I got. Which, another piece of advice is if you can get engineering with herbalism, you actually can make the electrostatic condenser, which gives you a chance to get volatile air while you're doing herbalism, which is why I ended up with a few. But we're gonna go look, and then we'll calculate the GP per hour with whiptails as a druid. So currently on my realm, actually let's do it this way. Currently on my realm, the cheapest whiptails are going for 13 gold, 24 silver each. We'll open up calculator. 13 gold, 24 silver, times our 64 whiptail. Comes out to 847 gold made in just 15 minutes. So if we multiply that by 4, right, to calculate a full hour's worth, that's about 3.4 thousand gold per hour just flying around doing laps, grabbing whiptails. That's also not counting the electrostatic condensers for volatile air if you have engineering. It's also not counting volatile life. It's also not calculating the fact that you could be on a less populated realm and get more nodes than me per hour. Another piece of advice I have is that you should try to find a time to do this when not many people are on. I know that's hard for a lot of people to do, but if you're a night owl or you don't work nights and you stay up late, that might be a good time to hop on and start doing this. It's currently like 11 p.m. where I am, and it's not that bad right now. If you go at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, you're going to make a lot less gold per hour, but overall, we can safely calculate about 3,000 gold per hour doing this method, and that's not even, like I said, counting airs or lives. So happy hunting, make some GP early in the patch while these materials are worth the most amount of value, and good luck.